G'day everyone and welcome back to my channel. On the tropical island nation of Singapore is where we kickstarted my first ever international foodie video series. We were done with part 1 last week, so if you haven't seen that, you'll find the link in the description below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and bell icon so you won't miss out on the episodes coming up. Without further ado, let's begin part 2 of this series right here, right now. And good morning guys, welcome to day number 2 of my stay here in Singapore. A friend is gonna pick me up and he hasn't told me where we're going yet, so this is going to be a surprise. But I would expect more eating today because what else is there to do for me when I come back here to Singapore, because I'm not here as a tourist. I've got errands to run. I'm here to wrap things up so I can close everything up and, you know, just permanently settle my life back in Australia. Yeah, so this is what I'm doing. I am not here as a tourist. So yeah, I'm gonna wait for him to pick me up and see what's in store because I don't know where we're going. Yep, so I'm looking forward to it. I think he's coming. He says he's coming in a black Volvo. There he is. Let's go. Okay.
Hey.
How are you?
Good.
Okay, so where are we going?
We're going to yesterday I see you, I think you went to Hong Lim, right?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
I was in Hong Lim yesterday.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so this is where we're going. We're going to Tiong Bahru Market, and yeah, it's another hawker center that's pretty popular here in Singapore. Yeah, so let's go. Our first stop for breakfast this morning is in the housing estate of Tiong Bahru. It's a heritage protected area consisting of these walk-up apartments which were built in the 1920s. It's considered to be the oldest housing estate in Singapore. Since the mid-2000s, it has undergone rapid gentrification and the neighborhood has become synonymous with trendy cafes and indie boutiques. The name Tiong, which means tomb in Hokkien, and Bahru, which means new in Malay, is in reference to a nearby burial ground which now has the Singapore General Hospital built over it. Yikes! The focal point of this housing estate has to be Tiong Bahru Market. This purpose-built structure was opened in 2006 and it has a wet market on ground level and a hawker center on the upper floor. Hawker centers are something which is so quintessentially Singapore because it's a hark back to when migrants arrived in the 1800s, bringing with them their culinary know-how, which has shaped Singapore's food scene to what it is today. It's not unusual for a popular hawker center like Tiong Bahru Market to have lines forming even on a weekday morning. It makes you wonder, don't people have to work? I suppose one needs to eat as well, hey? I make a beeline for bak chor mee, which is a uniquely Singaporean noodle dish which is only found in Singapore. Seriously. I've been to a handful of eateries in Australia who supposedly are Singaporean, but only one so far carries this dish. So this is a must-do whenever I'm back in Singapore. You know, as far as I'm concerned, the national dish of Singapore has to be bak chor mee, which is what I'm having here. I think officially the national dish of Singapore is actually Hainanese chicken rice, but nah. For me, bak chor mee does it all the time because the ingredients in here are so simple. It's really just chili, vinegar, soy, and pork lard. But the combination of these flavors coming together produces this absolute flavor bomb of a dish that's something so simple. Yeah. You have pieces of fish balls, fish cake, and pieces of minced pork. So very, very simple ingredients go in here to create this dish that's eaten by everyone, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So this is breakfast for me. After this, of course, I'm going somewhere else to eat, but yeah, you can't go wrong starting your day with bak chor mee. Of course, with your meal, you need to have something to drink. So what we normally have is soya bean milk, but we've got different kinds today. I'll run you through what we have. So this is your typical soya bean milk, which is, of course, it's white, and it's very unlike the soya bean milk that you have in Australia because this is sweet. So they've added a bit of syrup to give it a bit of taste. Otherwise, soya bean on its own, you know, it doesn't really taste that good. Well, at least I don't think it tastes that good anyway. So a sweetened soya bean drink is something that I'm used to growing up when I grew up in Singapore. And then this is another version of the soya bean milk. It's got bits of black jelly in it. So this is the soya bean with black jelly. So the jelly just gives it another layer of texture, which is interesting. Now the jelly comes from a drink of this. So if you have the jelly drink on its own, it's in this blackish sweet drink, which is sweet. There is also a herbal hint to the taste of the jelly. Yeah, but this is the jelly drink. So you can mix up the jelly into a soya bean and it comes like this. So my friend has very kindly bought me all these drinks to try because you know, I'm only here for a few days. I need to squeeze in as many options as I can, eat as much as I can. Yeah, so this is what he's done. He's gone off to buy God knows what, so I'll only know what he's getting when he comes back to the table. This is his, by the way, curry rice. Like, oh my god, right? Besides the bak chor mee, he's also come back with Chwee Kway. Now, what is Chwee Kway? It's steamed rice cake. Okay, it is steamed rice cake that has a very healthy dose of preserved radish. Am I getting this right?
Yes.
Chai po. Yeah, so it's preserved radish that's been flavor bombed with lots of salt because it's flavored. So yeah, and chili. Okay, because we're in Singapore, you need to have chili with everything. So steamed rice cakes with chai po. Oh my god.
Nostalgic, right?
Yeah, this is the taste of nostalgia. It's really the taste of nostalgia because look, there is so much history attached to Tiong Bahru market, and whatever that I'm having here, these are food that our parents had, and our parents introduced them to us to whatever you see on my tray today. So yeah, this entire thing you see here, this is taste of nostalgia. It is so good. Oh. And that's a typical representation of a Singaporean breakfast.
I'm sure you get the idea by now that the lines get pretty blurred between the types of food consumed according to time of day. There isn't a proper demarcation of what's breakfast food, because we can also have that for lunch, dinner, and any time in between. I suppose that's the beauty of eating in Asia, generally speaking.
Alright, bye. Alright, that was breakfast done in Tiong Bahru. So now I'm off to another place to eat, which is curry rice. Now we are in the little India district of Singapore, and this curry rice is pretty much well known because they've been around forever. They've been here since curry rice was invented in Singapore. So it's a short 5-minute walk from this mall. So yeah, let's head there now to eat some more.
This curry rice I'm heading to is specifically Hainanese curry rice. When the Hainanese arrived in Singapore in the late 1800s, other Chinese clans like Teochew, Hakka, Cantonese and Hokkien were already well established and had their own geographical enclaves within Singapore town. So the Hainanese were settled between the European enclaves and the Arab areas. So the Hainanese were unique in a sense they weren't located around Chinatown. It is in this area of no man's land where the Hainanese curry, together with Singapore's national dish, the Hainanese chicken rice, was born. Since most jobs were already taken by other Chinese clans, the Hainanese mostly became cooks and domestic workers. A lot of them also worked in hospitality. In fact, Raffles Hotel was located just next to the Hainanese enclave, and the world-famous Singapore Sling was created at that hotel. It was thrown together by none other than Nyam Tong Bun, himself a Hainanese migrant. For lunch today, we're headed for Hainanese curry rice royalty. Scissor cut curry rice has been operating non-stop 7 days a week since 1930. The name derives from the fact that they snip the ingredients on your plate with the scissors into bite-sized chunks for easy consumption before you pay for it. The original Hainanese curry ingredients marry the best of British food like stewed cabbage, fried egg sunny side up, and pork chop cutlets, Chinese 5-spice braised pork belly, and the curry which in itself is inspired by Peranakan curries of the Straits-born Chinese. Over the years, the ingredients have expanded to a dizzying array of choices to include chili anchovies, fried beans, and so on. The combination possibilities are seriously endless.
Pork chop, tang, 没有了。
And voila! Here's the ugly, gooey, slightly starchy texture of this tasty-looking mess. There is no Instagrammable way of presenting this. This eatery has looked the way it has for as long as I remember, and I really appreciate this old-school coffee shop, which is getting incredibly hard to find in modern Singapore.
Well guys, this is curry rice in Singapore. Specifically, it is Hainanese curry rice. Now, Hainanese curry rice is very, very unique to Singapore because this curry was created during the British colonial era, where a lot of Hainanese from Hainan, of course, they were migrants here in Singapore, and they were employed by the British colonial, and also a lot of wealthy Peranakan families. So the Hainanese migrants were employed as chefs in their mansions, and this was where they learned to adapt a lot of local ingredients into this. So a Hainanese curry is a little distinctive because it's a little sweet. It's not like your typical curry, but yeah, this is a sweet curry. It's been infused with a lot of Chinese ingredients, so you have your usual curry paste, but there is also a hint of five spice, because five spice is very heavily used in Chinese cooking. Yeah, so this curry has actually a hint of five spice in it, and it looks like a mess. There is no pretty way to present curry rice. Yeah, so this is a very uniquely Singaporean dish. I ordered it with pieces of pork chop, an egg which is sunny side up, and cabbage. And here you go, a uniquely Singaporean dish, the Hainanese curry rice.
What a satisfying meal this was. It surely is a wholesome, filling plate of food, not to mention it is extremely reasonably priced as well. Unlike your usual curry, this version feels light on your palate despite its starchy nature. I would happily eat this any day of the week.
We're gonna take a walk through Little India. You know, when Singapore was founded in the 1800s, it was just a little island, and you had migrants from everywhere, mainly from China, India, and of course the original inhabitants of Singapore were the Malays. So when the British came to Singapore and started Singapore going as a free port, when the migrants arrived, what the colonial rulers did was they started segregating the migrants. You know, the Chinese were confined to Chinatown, the Malays were in Geylang, Kampong Glam, and then you had this, Little India. Of all the places today, a lot of them have been cleaned up, gutted out, modernized, gentrified, but Little India has managed to maintain its charm. As far as I'm concerned, of all these different areas that was created to house these migrants, Little India is the most authentic today. And they are the ones who retain this charm, because when you come here, the smells, you smell spice, jasmine, curry. It really feels like you're in India. But I got to say though, majority of the Indian migrants who came were from the southern part of India, so you have a lot of Tamil speaking Indians in Singapore. So when they come from India to Singapore, they're very happy because the words of the shops are all written in Tamil, not Hindi, which is the national language of India. Yeah, so majority of the stuff here is Tamil. So if you're from that part of India and you come to Singapore and you're confronted with this, good on you. It feels like you're home.
Speaking of gentrification and modernization, this is Chinatown in Singapore today. Gone are the original merchants of the past, and entire multiple city blocks were taken over by the government and given an extreme makeover of epic proportions some 10 years ago. What we see today is this ghastly showcase of brightly colored modern showpiece which is devoid of any soul or character. The street level shops of the past have all been replaced by tourist traps hawking everything imaginable, from fridge magnets, souvenirs, to overpriced restaurants filled with nothing but tourists getting ripped off. Besides appreciating the architecture of these old facades, after all, I spent the first few years of my life in one of these shop houses, I normally do not partake in any of the eateries here.
You definitely won't see a local eating here,
because they represent very little of Singapore's culture. I'm obviously not a fan. So let me take you to our last stop for tonight, which is just a short walk from where we are right now.
Well guys, time really flies when you're having fun. The next thing you know, it is dinner time. And tonight I'm gonna end this video right here. This is Maxwell Hawker Center. It is one of the oldest hawker centers in Singapore. Of course, the oldest one is definitely Lau Pa Sat, but you know, they have gutted the inside and they've modernized the whole hawker center in Lau Pa Sat to the point where all the original hawkers are no longer there. So this is Maxwell. This is probably, I think, is probably one of the next oldest in Singapore. So a lot of the hawkers in there have been doing what they're doing for generations right here. So yeah, let's take a walk in there, have our dinner, and end our stay tonight. All right, come, let's go for dinner now.
And here we are, acknowledging once again what an impact the Hainanese migrants have made to the Singaporean culinary scene. Singapore's national dish is officially Hainanese chicken rice, and it is internationally renowned and replicated the world over. Just as well, we're here tonight to make sure we get a delicious serve of this.
When there is a lion behind me, it means it's good. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this tastes like heaven. I mean, it's chicken rice. It might sound simple, but if chicken rice is done correctly, even the rice is fragrant enough to be eaten on its own. Yeah, so let's see how that is going to come out.
Oh man, editing this video has seriously made me very hungry. So let's start eating already.
Okay, here we are. This is the final meal in Singapore. And just as well, the national dish of Singapore is officially chicken rice. And so here we have a serve of it. It is poached chicken that's been steamed. Nah, it's poached. So it's poached in a stock of chicken fat. And once it's taken out, it's dunked into ice water to make sure the skin is still springy, so it doesn't become boiled to the point where it's all soft. And here you have it, and whatever stock that's left behind from poaching the chicken is used to make the rice. So besides, of course, besides having a flavorful plate of chicken, the rice is supposed to be the highlight as well. So the mark of a good chicken rice is the rice. It's supposed to be just as flavorful, and you can eat it on its own. This is how much flavor there is in here. So let's try the rice. I will never complain about a chickeny flavor being too chickeny. So this is what you get. You get a hit of chickeny flavor that's coming through the rice. And the chicken, oh my goodness. This is what happens when it's poached, right? There is so much flavor in this. And you can see that it's glistening because that's chicken fat. And only chicken fat will give you this shiny thing that's going on this plate. Like, oh my goodness. As you can see, it's starting to curdle already. Chicken fat is the best thing since sliced bread. Of course, accompanying the chicken rice, you also have a chili. Whatever cooking juices that's used to poach the chicken, it's not going to waste. Some of it is used to make the rice, and some of it has gone into making the chili. So this is fresh chili with a bit of the chicken stock, with garlic, ginger, vinegar, sugar, and all this is balanced into this, we call it the chicken rice chili. So this is a must when you're having chicken rice as well. Oh, this is pungent. But what we do is we mix it into the rice like this. Singapore's official national dish, chicken rice. And that was the Maxwell Food Center for you. And this also concludes my stay here in Singapore. I'll be leaving tomorrow, so it's just as well that we ended the stay with Singapore national dish that we had in there, the delicious, delectable, succulent chicken rice. You cannot go wrong with that. The dish itself sounds so deceptively simple, but it packs so much flavor. So there's only one way for you to find out how it tastes like, is to come to Singapore and have the Singapore chicken rice. Only then you'll know how that dish tastes like, okay? So I'd like to conclude this video here. So if you've watched it up to this point, I'd like to thank you for your support. Hit me up on Instagram so you can see where am I traveling to in real time. And of course, more importantly, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and tap that bell icon so you'll know every single time when one of my videos come up. Alright, so in the meantime, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you for my next video. Bye!